Hello, I'm Carla Schroer of Cultural Heritage Imaging, and in this video I'm going to show you how to create work products and add information about how you process your images to produce those work products using the Digital Lab Notebook software. So what's a work product? A work product is any output from our imaging work, and so depending on the technology, there could be a variety of different outputs. For example, if I'm doing photogrammetry, an output could be a 3D model with texture maps in various formats. It could be a point cloud. It could be a digital elevation model. Whatever things that I want to save and archive along with my submission information package. Those are my work products. And the processing steps and workflows that I'm going to show you are how we organize more specific information about how we built those work products. So let's go to the Digital Lab Notebook software. Here we are in the Prepare screen, and this is where you can create your processing steps and workflow modules, and we can also add them in our image bundles when we get ready to build our work products. If none of this is looking familiar to you, go check out the other videos in this series where I show you how to set up your projects and image bundles and so forth. So let's open the image bundle screen here. And for this demo, I'm going to show you this RTI. So here's an RTI, and if we click, we get all of the details for that image bundle. And remember, an image bundle is all of the images of a single subject or scene that we're going to process together to produce our digital representation. So even though for the same subject I might have multiple RTIs, the image bundle is about the set of images that are going to be processed together. So each RTI would be its own image bundle. Photogrammetry would be a different image bundle. And we can associate a subject with those things, but they're not organized by subject. They're organized by our imaging work. Okay, so here's an RTI one. We've told it where to find the files on our hard drive. We can give it a subject. We can give it pictures of how things were set up to shoot it. We can save the equipment. All those things have already been done. So now we want to look at the work products. And there's one that's already defined here, and this is in the sample data that comes with the software. And if I double click on that, I can see the details of this work product. So this work product is a polynomial texture map, or a PTM, and there's a short description, and I can tell it where on the hard drive it's going to find the files for that work product. So in this case, it's this PTM, and it just has one file inside of it, but it could have multiple files depending on what your output is. So that's an important thing to understand about a work product is the system wants a folder, and then whatever files are in that folder is what's going to be wrapped up as that work product when you include it in your submission information package. So the software doesn't know anything about all these different file outputs and what files might be part of it or not part of it. So you need to organize that into a folder, or it can be a folder with subfolders. And then for each work product, you're going to give it a folder, and anything inside that folder is going to be part of that, the files that go with that work product. In this case, there's just one. So we're going to use that folder. And we can also do processing steps. And the processing steps are a way to say what the specific things were that we did to process this data, and we can define them ahead of time. We can group them together into workflow modules, which I'm going to show you in just a second. And we can also, for each work product, we can associate documents. So if there is something like a report that you can produce for your photogrammetry work, or the Relight Lab software has a report that it's going to make for the outputs, those could be brought in just as documents here. But in the system, we can give it individual processing steps. So let's go back over here to the Prepare screen and look at the processing steps. So these are the ones that are already defined here. And like everywhere in the software, I can start typing part of something and it'll bring up that processing step. So I could find all the ones that have RTI in the name, for example. And a processing step just has basically information about the thing that I did. And the software that we're using with the processing step, we can define that software over in the equipment. So the software is all added as equipment. Software is a category in the equipment list. So we can choose RTI Builder in this case, and then there's just a description of this particular step. Similarly, we could have a document for a processing step where that might be appropriate, or we can do it at the work product level, depending on what the document includes. Okay, so here's an existing one. This is in the sample data, but let's make a new work product. So if I go back over here to the screen with the work products, there's only one. I'm going to make a new one, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it the catalog number of this object, and this is a Relight web-based using the HSH or hemispherical harmonics algorithm. And we can give it a category here. There's some that are predefined, and you can make your own. So the category here, this is a Relight RTI output for the web, is the one that I'm building here. And if you need a category that's not here, you can just click right here, get the whole list of categories, and you can add ones if you need them, or you can check on the definition of one to see if it's the right thing. If I click on one here, which is this Relight one, basically it's just a label and a short description of what it does. Okay, so I need to give it the work product folder, and that's going to be this web HSH folder. And you'll see in this case, there are several files here because the web-based software, the OpenLime software, works by pre-calculating some planes that it's going to use within the software to allow you to see this on the web. So the output here is this set of files with a JSON file that describes those things. So I'm going to use that folder, and I am going to give it a description, which I already wrote a quick one, and I just dropped it in here. Now I can go and add the processing steps. So I need to save it first, since it's a new file. I did, and that was why that was grayed out. I saved it. So now I can add the processing steps, and I can use a workflow module. And a workflow module is just a way to name a sequence of steps that I might want to use together to make it really easy to use it over and over and over again. And you, just like subassemblies for equipment, you can have as many of them as you want. The difference is a workflow module has a sequence, where a subassembly is just a list of equipment and there's no sequence. Okay, so in this case, I'm doing the RTI, raw image processing. That has these steps already defined. I'm just going to grab them and move them over. That's the way I started doing my processing. But then, in this case, I want to see all of the things that are here, and I'm just going to look for ones that have RTI in the name, and I have one that is made with Relight software. So if I select that and bring it over, then the last thing I did is I generated an HSH using the Relight Lab software. And if there's not enough information in this part of the interface, if I go to Manage Processing Steps, I can open it here and see the full definition of what that processing step is. Okay, so I've added those processing steps. Let's just quickly go take a look at how you would make a workflow module. Basically, it's right here on the prepare screen, workflow modules, and these are some that already exist. Here's one for RTI, and here's the steps. And so basically, you're just organizing a bunch of steps into that workflow and giving it giving it a name. In this case, the name is RTI, raw image processing. So you can also have processing steps that are not specific to a technology, that are just general. That's something that you might want to do. So that's how you're going to make your processing steps and your workflows. And if we go back over here, this is the new work product that we just made. We told it where it was, we gave it some information, we told how we processed it. If I had a output file, a log file from the software, I could include that as a document to go with this work product. So that's the overview of work products and processing steps and workflow modules. There's going to be one more video that talks about building submission information packages, and that's where you can choose specific work products that you want to be archived along with your metadata and your image files. Thanks for watching. See you on the forums.